With the Blooming Waters collection boxes on the way for 151, I mean, I called my local Costco. They're still 2 weeks out from possibly receiving it over in California. So, depending on where you are, they may start to get things early. But I wanted to check in on the singles. I also wanted to talk about, we're also going to talk a little bit about prismatic ETBs, just a little bit in this. And we'll touch on some more sealed stuff as well. But we are seeing all time highs on some of the 151 singles, despite an influx of packs that's about to come into the market. We have the Charizard, right? This was the previous high at 220. He's just a little bit higher than that. The last solds are kind of around that 220. You see some 230s in here, a lot of 230s back down in here, 220s, 230s. If we zoom out to the 1 year, you get a little bit better idea of the Charizard. Back here, we were at $100 before the big run up. I did run up to 200, cooled off down to 190, climbed back up again, dipped again to 207, and now we're seeing the all-time high for the 151 Sunzard. Lowest listed is where it starts to get a little bit more interesting as well. Right here, starred seller lowest listed is 240. And 240, we could jump over to page 2 just to take a look. After that, it's pretty consistent 240, and then it goes to 250, which would be above market price and above some of those recent sales, even those 230 sales. So the 151 Sunzard cannot be stopped. It's continuing to move. 151 was already like doing really well in this market before we started to get insane. So it's interesting to take a look at. That's kind of why we're doing this now. And we got my boy Zapdos. This is my favorite card from the set. I think this is the best artwork of the set. And this one's gaining a little bit more. I still feel like it has a little bit way to go personally. But you got Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno in the card. I feel like sometimes Articuno can be hard to see just because it blends in with the colors on here. But 51% growth in the past 3 months. 3 months ago, this was 40. It did crack into the 50s, came back down, cracked back up into the 50s again. And now we're seeing it at 66. Last solds are actually a little lower. Back down here, there were some 75s, but we're seeing kind of 57, 57, 58 last solds on the Zapdos. Lowest listed does reflect that at 57, and then you have 58 are the two lowest listed. So maybe Zapdos is coming back down a little. See, he likes to come up, come down, come up, come down, right? But if we zoom out for the 1 year, you can see this is like a very clear all-time high for the Zapdos. Lowest of the year was in the 30s. So I'd like to see this card, around 75, maybe closer to 100, pushing. I do think, artwork-wise, I just think it's like top tier. That's another card that's reaching all-time highs from 151 still. And, with the strength of this market, before, I was kind of thinking that Blooming Waters was going to have more of an effect with singles, but I'm almost kind of starting to think that it's just going to be a blip on the radar at this point. But we are hearing that Blooming Waters is there's a lot, so I'll keep you guys updated on like where things end up. But sealed continuing to hit an all-time high. So this is the regular Elite Trainer box. We got the Elite Pokemon Center one coming up next. 82% growth, continuing to climb. We're seeing 170 on these now. 3 months ago, this was $89 box. And it had like these tiny little dips. They just come down for a second, right here from 120, 127 to 123, and now we're just continuing to shoot up. Last solds here are not wanting to show us all the information, but you can see right here 170. Sometimes the TCG chart's been a little messed up recently. Lowest listeds are 180. So most recent sales would be low. The market on these is now 180. Now, the Pokemon Center ETBs, I think, are worth talking about in relationship to Prismatic. We did a live stream last night, if you didn't catch it, and a lot of people are asking about Prismatic. Should I sell my Prismatic Pokemon Center ETBs upon release? And this was what I was using to compare it to. Now, you can see we're at 350 most recent sale. They got market at 330. Now, listed median is 425. Lowest listed is 350, and you go down a little bit, and it's just going to continue to climb. Now, the reason I use this comparison for Prismatic is that this is the current high Pokemon Center ETB, the big dog, right? 151, the set is amazing. The promo is a Snorlax, which I actually really like Snorlax, but I think Eevee, you can easily say that Eevee and the evolutions are more popular. So And with the potential Evolving Skies 2.0 kind of hype, you can really see, I could really see a world where in which the prismatic ETBs will surpass these. It might just take some time, right? Because people are going to open them. Albeit with one caveat, like this might be one of those PC ETBs that gets opened the least. But it is something to. So, should I sell off the rip? Well, on eBay, this is what's selling on eBay right now. You got a 200 with 20 shipping, so 220, 230. You got a case right here at 970. So you're still in the twos on a lot of these sales. You got two here for 240. You got 220, right? So if you're at 220, even call it 230, 250, you're still a ways off from the 151 Pokemon Center ETB. So that's kind of why I bring that up. Also, we'll just take a peek at the 1 year chart. 254% growth. It's wild to think that these were in the 90s and even the hundreds when we're at 300 now. So that's my advice. So like my prismatic PC ETBs, I'm not moving off of them. Not, and if I do, it won't be for a while. That's my approach. So I'd rather let them have some time to run. You also have to understand with the 151 PC ETBs, these have had a while to cook, right? They've been, they were down here for a while before they started to take off. So I kind of like that. Give it some time. Give it some time to be in the oven, so to speak. Then we have more cards. We talked about this card in the live stream last night as well. This is the Poliwhirl. This artwork-wise, absolutely stunning. We were also talking about how we're in the greatest era of Pokemon cards art-wise. I think hands down, I don't think that can really be argued. But the Poliwhirl in with the rain and the reflections, it's up 43% in the past 3 months at an all-time high. We're seeing about $20 market. Last solds are a little bit under that. 17, 13, 17, 17, 22, and there's some 20 and 19 down below. There's a lot of copies available, 186. Lowest listed for an English copy is about 18, 18-ish. So, maybe this market price is coming down just a little. But if we look at this, this would be the all-time high right here by quite a bit. Previous all-time high was back here in October. It hit almost 16. So nice just to see not as popular of a Pokemon, but an amazing artwork popping off right here. A lot of 151 going up. Also, like the Psyduck. I thought, while he's hard to see in the card, just on these stairs, just chilling, I just loved him he's just head aching out for me. And then he's just doing his thing, right? But 3 months, 65% growth. So a lot of these undervalued singles, it feels like the lesser cards are starting to see an increase as well. And that's nice to see. Back here he was $11-12, and now we're seeing 20. Kind of similar to the Poliwhirl. Last solds are 17, 18, 17, 17. So, and a few 25s down here. We had a spring of 25s. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. Lowest listed, we have to go to page 2 from a starred seller. You're at about 20 actually with this shipping. So this market price does seem accurate for the Psyduck. Decent, like kind of underrated illustration rare. I mean, I wish he was maybe a little bit bigger in the card, would be my only complaint. You got Wartortle also doing really well, up 21%. We're going to get through some singles here, and then we'll go get to some sealed product towards the back half of the video. But Wartortle, 21% growth. 3 months ago, he was 23. Now we're seeing like 28. Most recent sales, 25. Before that, 27, 27, and 30s, which that's pretty good. 30s are nice to see. That would bump this market price up a little bit even more. Lowest listed from a starred seller, you're looking at 27, which is just a tinge under market price currently. There are a lot of copies of some of these cards available, right? So when a card runs up, people go, oh, I have that. I can sell that. And then it's like sometimes the undercutting happens. They go, oh, well, I'll take $1 less. And then they just to the bottom, right? When there's this many copies available, that's kind of something that happens. So after these gains, but you can see we're at the high here. Previous high back here was at 23. So yeah, 40% growth on the 1 year chart, looking good. I do like the artwork, the evolution line of the Squirtle, really good. Everything about it, yeah. I mean, obviously you got Arita doing the artwork, so you really can't go wrong. And speaking of, we're going to talk about the Blastoise. Now the Blastoise, you could see back here, it's only up 18% from back here. It did shoot up along with the Venusaur. They kind of followed the Charizard, but they weren't able to really break out into, like, you would think in theory, right? I've talked about this before, but like Charizard at 200, 220, you would think, well, Blastoise should be like maybe 100, 100, 120, 115-ish, right? But they haven't been able to break out, and there's a lot of copies available, 145. It went up to 78, came back down to 60s, went up to 77, and this is kind of where it's held in this like mid to upper 70 range. So we'll see if that can continue to hold. Lowest listed is mid 70s at 74.50. Last solds are looking like there's a 80, 70, 76, 77s, another 86, then 80s. So a lot of the last solds are actually in the 80s, but lowest listeds are a little bit below that. So if this could creep up into the 80s, that would be nice to see. Just from, I do understand. Also, when I'm talking about these cards, I'm not trying to, make it be like, oh, I want this card to go up to 80 or 100. If you haven't got this card, I'm not trying to say like, oh, I hope people aren't able to get it. Like, I want people to finish their master sets, get their 151 cards. Like, so I'm not trying to, I can understand how that can sound. But I just feel like value-wise, comparatively to the Charizard, is what I'm getting at. I hope that came across all right. I don't know. You guys understand what I'm trying to say. The Venusaur, similar thing. Now this is coming off of a high just a little bit. You can see same thing back here. It shot up around the same time. 57 shot up to 75, dipped back down to 62, came back up to about 80, and then it's kind of come off, and we're seeing like mid 70s. Same thing, 158 copies, lots available. Once again, the pull rates on 151 were a little bit easier for the special illustration rares, especially compared to Prismatic. Night and day difference. Lowest listed, we're seeing 71 and 73 from starred sellers on TCG. The 1 year chart's going to look a little similar. You can see this is the high, 80 was the high, so we're coming off of that. But 73% growth, super solid. The low on the year was $35. Yeah, I remember I picked up my copy. I think it was around this time, maybe plus or minus. Actually, I think it was back here. I picked up a copy for my master set around this price. I think it was $35 roughly. So happy. I also, super random, I'm not still fully done with my master set on 151, but the cards I need are like a few commons that I just wasn't able to pull. So I really should get on that. I got to finish that master set. Then we got the Charmander. The Charmander looking up. You got the sun rays coming down. He's coming off of a little bit of a high too. I mean, honestly, too, when this card started popping off, being in the 50s, and I was like kind of shocked for an illustration rare at the time. I feel like it was a little shocking, but went from 43 back here up to 52. We are seeing the last sold is at 60. Before that, 47 and 60 back here. So we'll see what the lowest listed is just to check. You got some Korean copies here. You got Korean. We have to go to page 2 if we want to see English from a starred seller. Yeah, lowest listed is just about 50 with the shipping. So that's pretty close to the market price, maybe a tinge up on the Charmander. The 1 year chart shows 44% growth. It was on the decline a little bit. It's at 33 back here, and then it declined all the way to 23, and then continued to go on a run. Obviously, coming off of that high, if we get back to 50, it'd be close to that all-time high for Charmander. Then we have Squirtle, 27% growth. This one is closer to its high right here. It just barely came off a little. Squirtle's in the 40s now. 3 months ago, the low was 30, right? 155 copies available. Once again, there are a lot of copies available of some of these cards, and this is what I was theorizing with the Blooming Waters. If you're already here, you're kind of high current stock. I know it fluctuates. You introduce tons of packs into the market, also at an affordable price. The Blooming Waters is going to be not a resale price. If you're able to get it from a store at MSRP, the pack price will be pretty good. So people will be ripping the product, and more singles will come onto the market. So that, like this, if this goes up to 100 more copies, you got 255, then you have people fighting for that lowest price to get their sales through. But the 1 year low was 22. And yeah, we had this high of 46, came back down. And so yeah, we're technically just coming off of the all-time high for the Squirtle. Yeah, so lowest listed at a little bit under market, kind of matching this most recent sale at 43 for the Squirtle. We got the the Charizard, there was in the live chat we were talking about, a lot of people were liking this card as well, saying that they preferred this over the SIR version. So I thought that was interesting. I do think that this is a nice looking card. It's not, this card hasn't really grown quite as much. You can see it's only up 9% in the past 3 months. So nothing crazy, but it is in like the $40 range. And if we zoom out right here, you can see it was kind of around that price back here in February, almost at 40. It did dip to a low of 30, and now it's kind of just climbed. So 20% growth on the year. Probably one of the weaker growths, but a nice looking card nonetheless. You got the Bulbasaur coming off of a high as well. You can see right here 32, ran up to 44. It's come down off of that just a little. 164 copies available, right? Last solds are, see this one, they're like a little all over the place. You got 39 and then 52 for the last solds, and then 50 back here. So a little bit all over the place for the Bulbasaur. The lowest listed is 39. So looks like this one's coming down maybe just a little. Once again, a lot of copies available for this card. The 1 year chart showing 70% growth, a little bit healthier looking chart on the Bulbasaur. You got the Alakazam. He's actually coming off of this high as well. 21% growth. It was 46 and 46, and now we're down around 42. Once again, nothing crazy. These last cards here are coming off of these highs. And I just thought it was interesting. I thought a few more of these would be happening. But like I said, some of them are continuing to hit those highs. Lowest listed at 42 for the Alakazam. Underrated artwork right here. Really nice SIR. Love the Pokemon. Love everything that they did with the spoons and this like crowded little house that he's in with all these like knickknacks everywhere. And he's just doing his thing. Like that card a lot. You got the Pikachu though. The Pikachu is one that actually is at a high right now. 65% growth. We don't know if that is that Surging Sparks, playing a factor here, but this card has Gengar, Jigglypuff, Growlithe. You have a Nidoran, male, female. You got Psyduck, tons of Pokemon in the background. Butterfree right here, Pidgeys. Like, I kind of like this one. I wish they would have drawn Pikachu a little differently, but I'm always a sucker for the background Pokemon cards. But 65% growth on the year, low of 15 up to the 1 year all-time high of $32 on the Pikachu. So that's a big point hitting that. And lowest listed is around 31, 32-ish for this card. Then we're going to jump over back to some sealed just for the last two items of the video. UPCs they're slowing down, but they're still chugging up, right? 36% growth in the past 3 months. Even 3 months ago, this was 186. Shot up to 230. It kind of cooled off just for a minute, back down to 220. Shot up to 240, cooled off for a second, and now we're seeing 250s on the Ultra Premium Collection. And the last sold's very consistent. Once these products get into these high dollars, and there's not that many, that's one thing I've really noticed. The sales are very consistent, especially as they climb. 250, 260, 255, 250, 250, 250, 260, 260, 260, 250, right? You get it. It just goes. Now, there's 117 of these available. Lowest listed right now is 265, which would be above market, right? So once then we start climbing even more. 265. I would be curious if we go to page 2, we sell through a few of these sellers, or are we starting to near 300? And yeah, so 300's here, 300's here. So you burn through some of these. I mean, this seller has 10. Gilbert Games has 10. So it might take a minute to get through some of that, right? To get to that point. But it seems like UPC's possibly on their way to $300. Like I said, just a little bit slower recently. And it's an expensive product, so it does make sense. We also have the binder collections really shooting up recently. 57% growth. Back here, 60, came up to 70, back down to 60, and now we're seeing about $100 for the binder collections. You'll see a lot of sales on here of just binder only at like $25. But before that, the full collection, 115, 100, and 100. So I don't know if these sales are affecting bringing the price down, but it looks like it clearly is 100, if not a little bit higher for the binder collection. Lowest listed that's not just a binder, has everything, is 125. So if the binder collection shoots up to 125, then that's going to be another really big price jump for this product. You can see obviously the growth is pretty huge, 148%. So yeah, 125 would shoot this up a lot more. A year ago, these were in the 30s and even in the 40s. So yeah. In summary, kind of to sum all of this up, 151 continuing to dominate the market. With Prismatic coming out, you know, like I said, I used a little bit of the comparison to the PC ETB just to kind of see like, will the Prismatic ETB, like, will it dethrone 151? I think that's definitely possible. It might take some time because you got to understand that we're going to see a lot of people are going to get their ETBs, and a lot of people in that live chat that we're talking about getting rid of their PC ETBs potentially. So there might be kind of flooding the market initially. It might take a little bit of time, right? Pull rates are also going to play kind of a big factor for the set, I do think. But it'll be interesting. We're getting close to release. We are less than a week from the official release now. We're looking at the 17th. So we'll see how many PC ETBs drop upon release too. That'll be interesting. I would be interested if they, after that wave sold out way back, that was in like November, if they upped the quantity of PC ETBs at all, or if they're just like, no, we just do like the same amount every time. I wonder if they upped that just a little. It'd be interesting. I don't think we'll ever know that for sure, but okay. And then back to 151. Blooming Waters coming out. Tons of packs. Is this the last hurrah for 151? Will they print more? Is something interesting because obviously like ETB is very high, booster bundles very high, UPCs are insane. I wouldn't think that we'd see a UPC reprint, but if they were to do a large one, I would see like regular ETBs and booster bundles would probably be good products to reprint. Are we going to get that? We don't know. Nobody knows at this point. The Pokemon Company, when it comes to the reprints, you know, not everything is going to be able to get reprinted moving forward, but it kind of feels like this might be the last 151 thing, potentially. So that is something interesting, especially because it sounds like the allocations for this product were pretty large as far as the Blooming Waters goes. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. If you're 22 minutes in and you're not subscribed to the channel, obviously you enjoyed the content. So I do daily Pokemon collecting and investing content every single day. We're doing content. If you guys were in the live stream, I really appreciated you guys yesterday. I'm going to work on picking a day of the week, and we're going to try to start doing that every week. Because you enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. It was just like a chill hangout, talking about cards, answering questions. It was really nice. I really enjoyed that. Looks like my video might have froze. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.